Okay, so it's been a little while since you made contact first, and so you've watched um, well, as you say, you've watched most of the conversations.
All of them, I think, all the ones I could find anyway.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And so how did you feel about the ones where people realize their true nature during the conversation? Did you find those helpful?
Yes. Um, and today I listened to Vanessa again,
Hmm.
and I started listening to Bridie, who I
Right.
I found that was a very good one, and Nina was another one.
Mm.
And I haven't listened to her recently, but I kind of relate a bit, particularly I think probably to Bridie.
Yes.
You get quite complicated as far as I'm concerned with Vanessa talking about all the different realms and things, and that's
Yes.
when my eyes start to cross over. Um, so I was going to say to you, can you please keep it nice and simple for me?
Certainly. Certainly.
I mean, for me, I mean, I put it here. I sort of I see the invitations. Um, well, I say I see the invitations. My mind's on automatic a lot of the time, but I've been looking at the
Mm.
invitations. I think I understand about those, but I don't like to think of them as some kind of evil entity out to
No,
get me. I definitely don't. I
no.
like to think of them as being layers and layers of good and bad conditioning. And
Yes.
then, and then when I think about the five koshas, I just think about the qualities of effortless being, everything arising in effortless being, so that my body has its physical form, emotions, and mind, and wisdom and bliss are qualities contained within that effortless being. Is that right? That's
Exactly. Yes. And
that's
that's
my simple way.
well, that's the most important actually, Jill,
Yeah.
because the conditioning we've had in the world is to make us identify with the physical body and make it seem as though that is primary, when
Mm.
really most important is to realize that we're existing as effortless, impersonal, timeless being. And then the personal realm is an option which is available to us. But when we have it in the right order, then we can begin to find peace, and also we can regulate the degree to which we're energizing the mental, emotional, and physical realms.
You say
Because,
when we have it in the right order. Was that the right order, what I just said? I
well,
mean,
yes, what you've identified is definitely the right order, which is the most important, is effortless being.
mm,
It's actually the key, because that's opposite to what we've been taught. We're taught, if we go to school or if we go to the library or turn on the TV, everything is reinforcing the idea that we're existing as a separate human being, and everything is in that context.
I can see all of that so well now.
Mm, mm.
I feel like I can see everything. I understand it so
Yes.
well, but like Bridie, I can't get away from the me object.
Well, it's actually quite simple. We'll have a look at one or two little things, because
Mm.
the main aspect is to see that effortless being is really simple, and the me is actually quite complicated, because it's the content in effortless being is really simple. It's mainly the knower, the means of knowing, and the known, which is the simplest form of awareness. But then, even though everything in the dualistic realm is the knower, the means of knowing, and the known, there's lots of it. So that's where it becomes complicated. So we'll look at that distinction, because that's really where it's possible to see the simplicity of one's true nature.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have a little look at that. So if we take so everyone remains as attributeless being. So that really just means that the awareness you truly are is it's a field of infinite possibilities. And so if you take this moment, what you could say is the awareness which is just quietly aware of everything. So it's aware of the body sitting on the seat. It's aware of the conversation. It's aware of the two voices. It's aware of the light in the room. All those forms are effortlessly known and very simple, known in a very simple way, because in effortless being, the mind isn't engaged. So it's the simplest form of awareness, one could say, without any commentary, without any comparison, without any judgment. And so we see that that's an option, and because it's so innocent and simple, we tend to overlook it. But it's actually the most important one, and it's something that we can begin to utilize because it's effortless. And when we strip away the dualistic aspect, so the comparison, the judgment, all of those kind of things, the commentary, then the simplicity of what you truly are becomes very apparent. And that then becomes an option that you can utilize. And effortless being is where you can remain much of the time, because that's what you truly are. So,
So can so when you say staying in that effortless being,
mm,
um, I do meditate, and ever since I heard you say, no, it should be resting as awareness, not
mm,
in awareness. So
yes,
I rest as awareness, and that's the only meditation I've done for
fantastic.
quite well since I found your videos, really, some time
Great,
now.
great.
So I do that. I just do 20 minutes a day. Actually, we do a family meditation on FaceTime, and
Wow,
I
lovely.
I do that regardless of what the others are doing. And I have been trying the last few days to, well, I've tried before actually, but I'm on automatic. That's the problem. But I try during the day to sort of look out the window and just
Mm,
rest in as awareness.
yes.
So I suppose I need to be doing more and more of that. It's engaging the tools when everything's, on
Well,
automatic.
well, in a way, it's very simple in that um, we tend to adopt different measures and practices and strategies, thinking that they will take us back to what we truly are. But what we truly are is what we are in this moment without any practices. So it's actually more simple than it appears. It's just that the conditioning in this world has made it appear as though everything of value is achieved
Yeah,
through effort,
I know that really. I
whereas
know
effortless
it.
being is what is here. Well,
Hmm.
actually, what you've identified is the most important thing. Your intuition is functioning really well, because what you've identified is that the subtle distinction between resting in awareness, which is dualistic, it would be the idea that Gill could rest in awareness, but actually to rest as awareness, Gill can't be present, because
Hmm.
what you truly are is infinite impersonal awareness.
An
And
awareness anyway.
when there's infinite impersonal awareness, Jill isn't there, because Jill only emerges in the mental realm. Because when the dualistic realm begins to operate, so the mental, emotional, and physical, there can be the appearance of this lady called Jill. But actually, in the simplicity of effortless being, it's simply awareness aware of itself, really. So when you're resting as awareness during meditation, that's the simplicity of what you are. And there can be subtle amendments. So you could say, attributeless awareness is awareness aware of itself, but a very simple forms of awareness examples would be awareness aware of the light, or awareness aware of the clothes on the body, or awareness aware of the iPad screen. And it's just the simple awareness, but without any commentary or comparison or any dialogue. So it's that it because so it's just so utterly simple, and it's completely effortless. But it seems to be tricky because everything in the world has created a sense of complexity, and
Hmm.
because the mind's really like it's like having a TV set which is always on, and there are always programs running, and they're being delivered, and so whatever you're trying to get on with, you've got this TV set on in the background, which is the mind. But the 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 more we become familiar with effortless being, the more the volume turns down on that delivery, and the more silence begins to predominate. So we're
Really, when I'm resting as awareness, I'm just shutting my eyes. I'm just being.
exactly, and just allowing whatever appears to appear. So there could be the sound of a car going by, or there
Mm.
could be the sound of an aeroplane, or there could be a thought, or there could be a subtle emotion, or there could be the sound of family members in the house, or um, neighbors, or whatever is appearing effortlessly. And so it's effortless being is utterly simple because it's always it's always very close to the simplest form of awareness. So the simplest form of awareness is just awareness aware of itself. So you could say when when there's meditation and there are no forms appearing, there's just a sort of simple waiting for a form to appear. That's really awareness aware of itself. So you could say it has the quality. I mean, for communication, you could say it has the quality of silence. It's actually attributeless because even silence is a quality because
I'm
it's
doing something wrong, I think. I think because when I'm shutting my eyes and resting as awareness,
mm,
I'm kind of I'm kind of focusing on it, hoping that I'm not going to think too much. But that's not it,
right.
is it? I mean, I know we're supposed to let the thoughts just come by like clouds,
Mm,
etc. But at the same time, I know it's really good to have that peace
yeah,
without the thoughts. So I'm
yes,
kind of focusing on awareness, and
yes,
if I do that, then the thinking slows down. But
yes.
is that wrong?
How much effort are you exerting, would you say, when there's just the focusing on awareness? If it's
Well,
just a
I'm
kind of gentle
sorry.
noticing,
Mm.
if it's a kind of gentle, effortless noticing, then that's absolutely fine. And
Well, what I'm doing is I'm sitting, like, as you say, I'm looking at the back of my eyelids,
yes,
and I'm looking rather than just sitting with
yes.
my eyes closed.
Yes. Well, actually, that is absolutely fine because that you could say is it's a state of restful alertness, really, because there's the subtle focusing on the back of the eyelids um,
Mm.
gives you that sense of stillness and peace. But it tends to be that it turns the mind off because as we do that, the mind and the emotions tend to settle. So what you're doing is absolutely great.
But of course, they don't settle for it. Gives me more peace, but the thoughts do come in.
Yes.
Yeah. But
Well,
then,
that doesn't really matter because the most important aspect is the clarity you have.
mm.
So the clarity in knowing that you're resting as awareness rather than resting in awareness, and the simplicity, focusing on the back of the eyelids is the closest we have really to awareness aware of itself because it's simply the focusing just gives you that sense of there being awareness and aliveness, and then forms can just arise within that. So there could be a sound arising, or there could be a thought appearing, or there could be a sensation. But all of that is absolutely fine.
but with the thoughts, the idea is to just sort of let them go by and not turn them into a story, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Okay.
That's
Thank you.
it.
That's really helpful.
Good. So
Yeah.
also, it's knowing that the conditioning we've had in the personal realm has lots of content. So there is the personal story. There is so when there was the body mind, which was called Gill, and it was prior to the age of two, it would simply be effortless being. It would just be awareness aware of itself, impersonal awareness aware of itself, and it would know everything arising within that. So all the forms that could be perceived, whether they're thoughts, emotions, physical forms, other people, they would all those forms would be seen to be appearing within this field, this innocent field of awareness, which you've always been. And there wouldn't be any dialogue or commentary. So for young children, it's just simply the forms appearing, but there isn't any meaning being given to them. And
They're
and
not they're not thinking at all at a very young age, are they?
no, there's just there's just simple awareness, and you can see
Mm.
it's very joyful for them usually.
Mm. It's when a
Um,
baby grabs its foot and looks at it with wonder. What's this? Yeah,
yes, exactly, exactly.
yeah,
But it's not, the baby isn't saying, "Oh, I got big feet. My sister has only got little feet."
yes, quite. Yeah.
It isn't doing anything like that. It's the simple, it's awareness aware of the foot.
Mm.
So it's that's really, so the simplest form of awareness is aware of itself. But a very simple form of awareness is awareness aware of just one form. And actually, that's the way it's possible to see one's true nature in the easiest way. Because if we take the personalized version, so the personalized version involves lots of forms. So it's things like memories, family experiences, shared experiences, um, comparison, and then there's the education system which comes in, then there's the media, entertainment, all of these different forms of experience, friendships, influence from others, all kinds of aspects which create the illusion of personalization and individuality. But when we just strip it back to the simplicity of what is arising simply and effortlessly, you see that personalization is actually a mistaken identity. Because if we let's just look at two or three different forms. So you could say, for instance, there is impersonal, effortless awareness of the body mind. So this could be, a child, the way that's where the way a child experiences. But the option to experience that way is available at any age, really. So there is, so when there's no commentary or comparison, it's just simply awareness aware of the body mind. They're sort of different sizes at different stages, but it's simply awareness aware of the body. And and then we could say there is awareness aware of some thought at a certain age. As you say, with really young children, there's very little thought. It tends to be that the mind hasn't really been activated. So, so, so but in terms of older children and adults, you could say, well, there could be awareness aware of thought. And then there could be awareness aware of emotion. And then with speech is the one which really is responsible for creating the personalization because it's actually the use of words which create a sense of personalization. So the the impersonal, effortless noticing of forms appearing. So one could say there is impersonal, effortless awareness of the body sitting on the seat. There's impersonal, effortless awareness of the iPad screen. So there isn't any personal involvement there because it's actually being seen by impersonal, effortless awareness.
Mm-hmm.
But if we take the use of language and we supplement the simplicity of impersonal, effortless being with language, then we use words like I, me, or mine, which then creates the idea or the illusion, really, that you're existing as a separate person because it doesn't require it doesn't require Gill to be aware of the iPad screen because what is aware of the iPad screen all along is impersonal, effortless awareness, simply neutrally and effortlessly aware of the iPad screen. But then if you use personalized language and you say something like, well, my husband and I, we only use iPads now,
Mm.
then the element of personalization is creating the idea that there really is this lady called Jill, and
Hmm.
you're creating a little story. But it's almost like a scene in a play where you're creating this little drama. There's Jill and her husband on the stage, and there's the idea that you're actually existing as these people. But it's only by using the language, which is personalized, that that sense of individuality appears, because without it, without the personalized language, the I, me, or mine, it's simply effortless impersonal awareness which is aware.
I I can see this what you're saying, and it's just making me think. In the last, I can't remember. Oh yes, it was Conscious TV. I put it down here. You were showing pictures, and you showed that picture by Ernst Mack, is it?
Yes.
And that just said it all. And I was so inspired by that that I sent it to my sons. Even my husband was interested, and I explained it to him.
Mm.
Um, that I just wanted you to know that I think that's brilliant, that picture. And
Well,
for somebody like,
that actually is self-realization when you see it in that context, where you can see that actually there is the body mind, but then
mm,
there's the looking through the eyes. The impersonal effortless awareness is looking through the technology of the human body. It has access to the senses and, various other capabilities, but it's looking through the eyes. It sees the side of the nose. It looks down. It sees the legs, the hands. That
mm,
is that is
and
so,
out through the window to
yeah,
everything else. Yes.
absolutely. But and that's the simplicity of self-realization, because it's simply it's seeing the simplicity of awareness, because it's just seeing everything in its simplest form. But it also doesn't involve any personalization, because even though the body mind is available to be utilized, that kind of perception isn't including a sense of I, me, or mine. It's just that there is the impersonal, effortless awareness, which is looking through the eyes of the body mind. The body mind is available as a vehicle or an instrument, but
Mm.
there isn't identification with it when it's when the perception is in that simple way. But another way of looking at it and just confirming it really, um, someone said to me the other day, well, how do you know you are impersonal, effortless being? It was quite an interesting question.
That's a good one.
I thought
Can
I'd
I
be,
just put something on? I'm getting cold.
of course.
Sorry, I'm in our loft room. I put the heater on and I came in here and it was boiling hot. And it very quickly got freezing cold. Well, not freezing cold, but I'm going to be more comfortable now. Yeah.
Well, it's good to be comfortable, because comfort makes it much easier to disregard the body. Whereas if the body is cold,
Yes.
it's drawing attention to the body, and then
Mm,
thoughts like "I'm cold" emerge, which
yes.
is creating personalization. So
Yes, you don't want that.
you just put your anti-personalization jacket on there.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, so in terms of impersonal being, it's quite easy to see it actually, because firstly, the examples you've given make the distinction between the personal mode and impersonal being, because when there is simply resting as awareness, then that eliminates the sense of personalization, because you can't maintain a sense of personalization when you're resting as awareness. If you're resting in awareness, that's dualistic. So it's Jill resting in awareness. That's
Mm,
the idea. Um, but if we take the simplicity of impersonal awareness, what you can see is that the idea of personalization is putting two or three components together, which is creating the illusion of personalization. So if we take, so um, we could take awareness of the body. So there's awareness of the body mind, and what's knowing the body mind actually impersonal effortless awareness. And using the Ernst Mach um, example, you could say there's impersonal effortless awareness of looking through the eyes. And so awareness of the arms, awareness of the legs, awareness of the body sitting on the seat, but it's impersonal. And and then there could be some thoughts appearing. So we could say there's effortless awareness of the thoughts. And then we could say there's effortless impersonal awareness of an emotion, say, maybe. Um, so if we take those three, they're actually known, they're actually known by impersonal awareness. And impersonal awareness, you could say there are two ways in which impersonal effortless awareness can be known and utilized. The one is in the way you just described with the Ernst Mach example, where it's the focal point aspect. So there's the possibility of it being impersonal, effortless awareness, looking through the eyes of the body mind. Um, but also the main way that we can experience impersonal, effortless awareness is as a field of awareness. So it's like an infinite field. So so just knowing that every form, everything that is known and everything experienced is arising within this impersonal, effortless field of awareness and beingness, then whatever the form is, so there could be awareness of the body mind, or there could be awareness of the light, awareness of a thought, awareness of an emotion, a sensation, awareness of a car going by, awareness of the sun in the sky, of stars. um, Everything is appearing within that infinite field. And when
and we're just part of it. We're just, I
well,
mean,
we're actually the totality. We're the whole. That's the paradox in a way, because we're experiencing our true nature by contrast. So we can have there's the paradox of the focal point of individuality, or even the focal point, as you describe, of awareness looking through the eyes of the body mind. But the primary way to experience impersonal, effortless awareness is an infinite field, and knowing you are that field of awareness. That's all you can be. That's all you've ever been, and everything is arising in that. All the universes, all of the time streams, all the forms, all the planets, the stars, everything is arising within that field. And
including us. So we're just part of this universal infinity.
yeah, the body mind is really a way to experience your infinite nature by contrast. And the contrast mainly is between the focal point and an infinite field. So there's the focal point, which is which is the main point of attention in the human experience. So the idea of the body mind, the idea of being the body mind, the idea that the thoughts belong to you, the emotions belong to you, the sensations, and then the idea that we're existing in this field, that there is the body, that's who you are, and then everything outside the body is not you. But unity consciousness is actually when you see that everything is you, and the body mind is just one of the forms arising within within that infinite field. And if you look
Which
at
we can see living this virtual existence, and we can see as solid, but actually it's just,
it's just the one thing, yeah.
yes,
And we know from science, if you look at things under a microscope, it's mainly empty space.
yes, mind-boggling, this stuff.
But even if we look, well, just look at the forms which are just in front of you at the moment. So there could be awareness of a desk, or awareness of the
Mm.
screen of the iPad, or awareness of the texture of the different items of clothing.
Mm.
And when we just see them, there is just there's just effortless impersonal awareness of the iPad screen. effortless impersonal awareness of the texture of the top of the desk or of an item of furniture or the texture of the clothing. And as you look across those various forms, it's only because we've been conditioned into personalization that we're led to believe that certain things are more important. So, oh yes, the body, mind, that's me, yeah. The jacket, that's yes, that's mine. The trousers, yeah, they're mine as well. But yeah, the seat, no, that's not me. That's nothing to do with me. But that's all in the subject object mode. But
But
if you
actually, it is. We're all in the same soup.
well,
Everything.
there's only the one being and only the one awareness, which is aware of everything equally and effortlessly, really. And if you look at it, it's as easy to be aware um, of the bed or the pillows or of the window or of the items of clothing or the iPad screen or the door or the walls. Everything's known equally, really, by awareness because it's when you bring it back to the simplest form of awareness, there is simply awareness aware of a form. So there's awareness aware of the door, there's awareness aware of the body, there's awareness aware of the iPad screen, awareness aware of the clothing, awareness aware of the words.
Except that there's something there that's so difficult to grasp. I understand what you're saying. You can't say what does the awareness look like. The awareness just is. Um, oh,
Well, if we look at
there's something I don't know.
if we look if we look at if we look at the contrast between the condition mode, which is the idea that you really are this lady called Jill,
Mm.
you've been, living for a certain number of years, you've had certain experiences, you have family members, relationships, memories. All of those aspects, all of those forms exist within the personal mode. But if we look simply at the way the idea of the person appears, we see it's actually based on fiction because, firstly, we can see there's effortless impersonal awareness of the body mind. So that's impersonal when we're experiencing the body mind in that context. And then we could say there is impersonal, effortless awareness of an emotion. And then we could say there's impersonal, effortless awareness of thoughts. And it's only when it's only when there are either thoughts or words which are including the personalized language, I, me, or mine, which give the idea that it's a person who is experiencing and that there actually is a person. Because unless we're using the personalized language, we're not experiencing it in a personal context because it's simply impersonal effortless awareness, which is aware. But as you utilize personalized language and you include it in the sentences and the thought streams, then it creates the idea that there really is this character. But it's just that you're the infinite, impersonal, effortless, timeless being. That's all you've ever been. But you have this part-time job, which is that you're in the local amateur dramatics society and you're playing the role of Jill. And so you get called on to deliver a few lines.
I
So,
get that, but there's just this block of sight. I feel like it's it's that we see all these solid things. I understand completely what you're saying, but there's something I can't quite describe. It's like the body of awareness, the infinite being, is
mm,
kind of completely invisible and goes on forever and ever,
mm.
infinity. And yet we're in this world where we see all these things, and yet we need to look at them as if they're not there in a way.
Well, it's slightly. I find there's an easier way to see it than that, really, which is that you could say that awareness is like an infinite ocean. So it's in the way an ocean has, it's a vast ocean, and the possibilities of the waves appearing on that ocean are infinite. There can be an infinite variety of waves, an infinite size of waves, um, and and um, and really seeing the forms appearing, it's more helpful to see the forms as being waves appearing on the infinite ocean of of silence or beingness. So that everything is a wave. So it's very easy to see it with sound, for instance. So you could say that awareness is an infinite ocean of silence. Use it's actually attributeless. So it isn't completely accurate to say it's an ocean of silence because it's an ocean of infinite possibilities. So silence is a possibility, and also lots of noise is another possibility. But if we take just to use this as an illustration, the infinite ocean of silence is like a field of infinite potential,
Mm.
out of which any form can appear. So it's just like with the ocean, the
Yes,
the,
this is helpful actually. Yes.
the waves appear,
Mm.
and they're completely varied. They each have their own form. They're totally independent as a wave, but they're totally reliant upon the ocean to provide the water which gives the form. And it's exactly the same with all the waves of form appearing in every level, really, whether it's in the mental level, in the emotional level, or the physical realm. So you could say you could say the thoughts are waves appearing on the ocean of awareness. So they would be the thoughts and the concepts, they're arising. You have some big ones, some little ones, some you say are very important, some which seem, not very important. The same with emotions. You could have little emotions, you could have, very profound emotions, all
Mm.
sorts of variety of emotions, but they're all appearing on the wave of awareness. Oh, sorry, on the ocean of awareness. They're all waves on the ocean of awareness. And with physical forms too, you could say that the infinite ocean of beingness um, is is the unmanifest basis of everything which is appearing to be manifest. So there's the form of the body, there's the form of the house, the form of the words, the form of the
Mm.
thoughts, um, all the different objects. So the physical forms have the duration is different for all the forms in the way the duration of a wave is different. You have a little wave that might last half a second, and then you have a great big wave that might last 2 minutes. In the physical realm, it's more sophisticated because you could have the lifespan of a fly, which might be a day, and then the lifespan of a person, which might be 100 years. But they're both waves of form
Mm.
appearing and arising out of the infinite ocean of beingness and awareness. So it's a field of infinite possibilities, and all the forms can just arise out of there. So um, the the clothing might have a duration of 2 years or 5 years, or the light might be 6 months.
Mm.
Whatever you see, though, it has a duration. It has a start date and an end date, or in the realm of form. So a big oak tree might be 500 years. Um,
Everything impermanent.
but everything is impermanent, even if
Mm.
the universe is impermanent, but it's said to be
Mm.
16 billion years old. But you could say that's like a wave. That's why,
Yeah.
but all the universe is a waves, you could say. And the duration of the wave is variable. But they're all arising upon this infinite field of beingness and awareness, which is a field of infinite potential. And it's all you've ever been, really. So you're experiencing as that field. And one of the forms appearing is a piece of technology called the human body, which has various capabilities. It has, um, taking the three dualistic koshas together. So there's the mind, the emotions, and the physical body, and you put those together, and it's quite a sophisticated option of experience, really.
David, if I was on any planet in any universe, I'd still be
The totality of existence.
effortless being. Yes,
Exactly. Effortless, impersonal, timeless being.
completely mind-boggling. I wonder what Brian Cox would say. You know, the guy who's doing the wonderful solar system program.
Yes. Well, Brian seems to be more in the mental body than in the in effortless being. But there, because he's very creative, there is the all creativity is coming through um, from uh, from effortless being. It's just that the education system tells us it's coming from the human mind. But that's part of the little hide and seek game we're playing.
So how do you see all of that? You know, what he's presenting us with. Um, I suppose you just say, well, it's all effortless being, whatever it is he's showing us
Well,
on the
all of
screen is.
well, most of the content that is being presented through the media in that way is conceptual.
Mm,
So, the difference really is whether something is conceptual or non-conceptual, because the direct knowing of something is non-conceptual. But if you're using words and language to describe it, it's taking you into the conceptual realm. But if you take effortless awareness, effortless being is non-conceptual. So let's just take an example to
it
demonstrate.
would all be effortless being, wouldn't it? What he's showing us. It's
Pardon?
all part. It's all part of
It's
effortless
all,
being.
yeah, everything
All
is
the
effortless being.
universes and. Mm,
It's just that there are the various options of experience, and we can experience things directly as effortless impersonal being, or we can put them through the mental filter, and they can become concepts and beliefs, ideas that we want to put forward as
mm.
being true. Um, and then there could be the emotional content, and then there can be the physical content.
So when I'm sitting there watching one of these amazing programs with my husband, who's mad about space, how am I seeing it, or should I be seeing it? Uh, you know, it comes out with all these mind-boggling statistics and things.
Yes.
So I'm just sitting there seeing it in a non-conceptual way as just part of the
Well,
beingness of life.
yeah, he's presenting something which is giving a conceptual insight into the infinity of space, for instance, but it's still
Mm,
on the conceptual level. So
mm,
if you take, for instance, if you had, say, an 18-month child sitting on the sofa with you,
mm,
so there would be your husband and then you and then the little child. So,
mm,
so your husband is taking it all in because he loves it and it's very
mm,
entertaining, and he's really interested in space and he wants to study it more, which is
mm,
great. That's very inspiring and enjoyable.
mm,
You're sort of in the middle where you find it inspiring and you quite enjoy it, but you're not so involved in the concepts.
mm.
And then there's the 18-month baby, which is sat beside you, and all the words and the forms are arising and they're all fully known. So all the images on the screen are appearing just the same. The words that Brian Cox is delivering are all heard. They're all registered in impersonal effortless awareness. But because the conceptual mind hasn't been installed, none of it makes any sense to the baby. and they're
It's
not
just
interested.
pretty pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just pretty pictures and either nice sounds or sounds which the baby doesn't like.
Mm.
But that's the difference between it being either conceptual or non-conceptual. And we need the mind, which is the conceptualizing device, to be able to experience on a conceptual level. But if let's
But,
just look at the distinction between non-conceptual awareness and the conceptual mode, or between effortless being and the mental realm. So if we let's just take an example here. You've probably seen this loads of times, but
mm.
if we take an example, say of a sound or a form arising, is there a sound or a form which is fairly constant at the moment, would you say?
I'm in the quietest part of the house.
Okay. Well,
Just your voice.
we can take the example of the light then.
Mm.
So 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 we could say there is impersonal effortless awareness of the light.
Mm-hmm.
So the light is being registered in impersonal effortless awareness, and it's only ever impersonal effortless awareness which knows the light.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's an option, if you wish to experience that in a conceptual way.
Mm-hmm.
So the simplest form of awareness of the light is the same as the simplest form of awareness with the eyes closed, just focusing on the back of the eyelids. That's the simplest form of awareness, really. But the simplest form of awareness of the light, you could say, it's awareness aware of the light. So, so that's impersonal. It's impersonal awareness, which is knowing it. Gill can't be present when it's being known in the simplest form of awareness. But the personal mode can be activated when we engage the conceptualizing process. So the mind is available. So the mind's like a little device which you can pick up and you can put it into gear. Um, and so you can engage it to utilize the conceptualizing process. So if we take the light, there's impersonal effortless awareness of the light, which is being known by effortless, impersonal, timeless being. And then there's the option for the personal mode or the conceptual mode, which
Mm-hmm.
is where you comment on the light or describe it in some way, which I'd like you
Mm.
to do.
It's a lovely warm light. Um, I'm not supposed to say it like that. Impersonal
Well, actually, no, you
or
when you're
personal.
describing it, you can use personalized language. You could say, "Oh, it's a
Yes.
warm light. My husband and I, we were in the local store and we both saw it and we both loved it, so we bought it and it's perfect
Mm.
here and it's above the bed and it's so nice because when you're lying in bed you can just turn it off and go to sleep."
Yes.
So that's a little personalized story,
Yeah. And
but
it's
that's
casting a golden light on the wall.
yeah,
Mm.
yes.
Yes, I can see the distinction there clearly.
So if we take the simplicity of impersonal awareness and remaining as
Mm.
impersonal awareness, we could take, let's take three or four components. So, firstly, we could say there is effortless impersonal awareness of the body mind. So,
Mm.
just
Mm.
notice that. So, you could say, so the objective here is to see that actually you're resting as this infinite ocean or field of awareness within which forms innocently and effortlessly arise. So, so there is impersonal effortless awareness of the body mind. Okay, so that's known. So just notice
Mm.
effortlessly. So it's awareness aware of the body mind.
Yeah.
No commentary, no thoughts, no comparison, just simply the simple, effortless, impersonal awareness of the body mind.
Mm.
And then there could be uh, impersonal, effortless awareness of some thoughts. So there could be some thoughts arising.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're not seeing them, if you're not giving attention to the content, it's just there are just thoughts appearing. In the same way, you can actually you can actually be aware of the sound of the words that are being spoken without really giving much attention to the content. In the same way as a baby sitting on the sofa watching Brian Cox.
Like when my eyes glaze over sometimes.
Exactly.
I'm listening, but I'm not hearing.
Yes, exactly.
Mm,
So that's the impersonal effortless awareness of the forms without kind of fully engaging the conceptualizing mechanism.
mm,
So we have effortless impersonal awareness of the body mind arising within the infinite field of awareness. We have effortless impersonal awareness of some thoughts arising within the infinite field of awareness. Then we have impersonal effortless awareness of, say, some emotions appearing.
mm,
So they're known impersonally and effortlessly. So those three forms, which are just arising impersonally and effortlessly, they're only known by impersonal, effortless being. So it's all impersonal, really. But when you put those three together, especially when you use language which is personalized, so you're using words like I, me, or mine, suddenly
mm,
the content, which really all along is only impersonal,
mm.
creates the illusion of there being this character or this person appearing, and you believe it to be true. But it's actually
Mm.
just impersonal, effortless awareness of three or four different forms appearing on the infinite ocean of awareness. You put them together, and suddenly there's a little magic trick where you create Jill.
Yes. Actually, that was one of my questions I was going to ask you. Oh, where is it? Uh, hold on a minute. This is it, you see. I want to find it so quickly that I can't find it at all.
Well,
But
just take your time because there's impersonal, effortless awareness of Jill looking for a particular line on the sheet.
okay. Um, right. Yes, I was going to ask you a question about neutral language, um, which is coming into what you're saying, really.
Yes.
Um, I've put here, I don't really get how we're using it at first. I mean, e.g., when you're just before or you are feeling fully realized. Is it just a knowing or seeing, or are we literally having an internal dialogue with ourselves all the time at first? I'm hoping that it would soon become automatic and there would be no need for that internal dialogue, that I just feel it and know it. At the moment, I have to slow right down to nearly stop to use the tools, for want of a better word. When I'm on my own, it's easier to deal with the invitations and to see things in the right way. But it's just, I'm just getting back to the fact that I see it all. I feel I understand what it's all about, but I've got this automatic mind, and I suppose it's a matter of just gradually sort of like opening the door a little bit and a little bit more with the integrating. Um, and
Well,
but the neutral language, yeah, I can't use neutral language when I'm being Jill and I'm doing what
no.
I have to do with other people, etc. However, on my own, I can I can find myself thinking, and then I can think to my I can sort of analyze it, if you like, and talk to myself in this neutral way. Um, but so
The
how
neutral
does that
language
all
is
work?
really just like the Ernst Mach exercise, which is it's just designed to give you an opportunity to see that there is impersonal, effortless being. You don't need to keep doing it as a practice in the same way as once you've seen what Ernst Mach is pointing to, where
Mm,
there's the possibility of seeing that there's impersonal, effortless awareness looking through the eyes, aware of the side of the face, of the arms, the legs. Once you've seen that, you don't need to keep practicing it because you know exactly what he's pointing to. And in the same way, you don't need to keep practicing impersonal language. It's only just to see, actually, impersonal language allows you to see that you're resting as impersonal, effortless awareness. Once you've seen that, there's no purpose in continuing to practice it, because it's just repetition, which doesn't serve any purpose. But
I
what's
suppose you might just remind yourself when you're getting carried away with your thinking or whatever. You might
Yeah,
just
exactly. It's like a little,
bring
it's like
yourself
dropping
back.
anchor, isn't it? You can,
Yes.
if the personal mode is overactive, then you can just stop, and it's a way of reverting to impersonal being just by using that little technique. But the key with you, I would say, Jill, is that there's an aspect of the dualistic realm, which is the dualistic realm is an independent energy system, and so it isn't about seeing it as a scary monster or anything. It's just seeing that it is actually a different operating system.
Mm.
Because the first two koshas, the body of bliss and the body of wisdom and effortless being, they're fields of unity. They're infinite impersonal fields of unity. And you're not existing as a separate being. To experience either infinite bliss or effortless being, you can only show up in your infinite impersonal nature to be able to experience from there. But the dualistic realm, there is the element of personalization. So with the mind, there can be a sense of existing as a separate person, and then there's the idea that the emotions belong to that person in the physical body, and the thoughts belong to that person. But all of those concepts are reinforcing personalization, which keeps you engaged in the dualistic realm, because the dualistic realm is like an energy game. And
Mm.
the purpose of learning the way it functions is to be able to consciously disconnect your energy from the dualistic realm. Because where there's personalization, you're fueling personalized experiences, and you're investing in the personal realm, you're investing in the mental realm, the emotional realm, and the physical realm, which is energetically depleting. Whereas
So,
effortless
sorry,
being doesn't require any effort or energy.
no.
It's what you effortlessly are.
So, in the simplest possible way for me, just remembering these things and prompting myself when I can, and I can see the distinction clearly.
Good.
And surely that's all I need to worry about: impersonal being and duality, and see
Yes.
them for what they are,
Yes.
and disengage as much as I can with that person, and just rest in effortless being as much as I can. And I presume with little bit more confidence from tonight, perhaps I can begin to do that more and more. I don't need to worry about the different realms and all the different aspects, and because
No.
I find that's all too much. I just want the
Yeah.
simplest
Keep it. You want
possible.
the simple approach. Well, the
Yes, as simple
what
as possible.
yes. What is important though is to
Mm,
recognize that the mind isn't your mind. When we use the words I, me, or mine in relation to the
mm,
mind, we're consenting to the idea that that content is yours when actually it isn't. The mind has three main um, possibilities. The first one is that it's in alignment with your infinite nature. So effortless being can deliver various forms of inspiration, various forms of content, creativity, intuition, synchronicity, telepathy, spontaneity, all of those things into the mind. That's all coming from your infinite nature. But it's also capable of taking delivery of content from the dualistic realm, which is things like, disturbing content and limitation. And the main
that's
distinction,
if you consent, isn't it? If you consent to it.
well, it is, but the easiest way to see the distinction of the source of the content being delivered into the mind is in the distinction between expansion and contraction, because anything coming from your infinite nature
Yeah.
has a feeling of expansion and infinite possibilities and lightness and joy. But what anything coming from the dualistic realm, because it's trying to put you into limitation, it has a feeling of contraction.
Mm.
So it's very easy to notice the difference. So somebody who wants the simple approach, like Jill, that's quite a simple way.
Yes, and actually, you reminded me about that. I've been saying that to myself. That's the simplest way of, you know,
Of
finding
detecting
that
the thoughts.
division.
Yeah.
Yes,
And then
yeah, that's really good.
there's the sort of practical aspect of the mind, which is the logical mind, which is where it can be used, for practical purposes, for organizing things, and for
Yes.
taking action in different ways.
Mm.
But it's seeing that there are those three different modes, but um, it's actually a very simple game that's being played, really. There is already um, full knowledge of your true infinite nature, because firstly, to be able to see that you're resting as impersonal, effortless awareness rather than in impersonal,
Mm.
effortless awareness, you can only do that when the distinction between personalization and impersonal being has been made. Because for most people, they wouldn't be able to make that distinction. They'd think, oh, I'm the person. I might be able to go to my local village hall, do some meditation and rest in awareness. But until you see the distinction between the personal mode and impersonal being, you couldn't recognize
Mm.
that the only way you can rest as effortless being is resting as effortless being rather than resting in it. So that's
And
so
yes,
that's
I've got
already
that. And so through integration, that's going to become more real
well.
thing, isn't it?
Integration is actually a simple choice, because it's really the degree to which you choose to invest in the personal realm. So you can invest in the personal realm on your terms, because the sovereignty which exists as a possibility in terms of your infinite impersonal nature is something where you can exercise the option in terms of investing in the dualistic realm or in the personal realm. So it's like a sliding scale. So if let's just take it from the one end to the other. So between impersonal, effortless being and deep investment in the personal realm, there's a sequence of options. So the easiest option is in terms of impersonal, effortless being. So you could say at the one end is what you're experiencing when there's the focusing on the back of the eyelids, because that is simply impersonal, effortless awareness. It's actually it's awareness aware of itself. It's, you could say, it's attributeless awareness, because there are no forms appearing. So that's at the one end, and then you can say, well, um, there is impersonal, effortless awareness of some thoughts appearing. Now you can experience those either by just noticing them or by engaging the mind in the conceptualizing process, in the same way as when you're watching Brian Cox on TV. You can either glaze over and just listen to the words impersonally and effortlessly, or you can engage the mind to take in what he's telling you. So, so they're the two options in terms of the mind. And then um, there's the option to engage emotionally. So you could say, so there could be, so with your husband, for instance, there's probably, as he's watching Brian Cox, there could be a feeling of elation and joy. So you could say there's impersonal, effortless awareness of joy, because for your husband, it's giving a sense of expansion, inspiration, of knowledge. So it's something he's really enjoying. For you, it may not be so quite so inspiring. So you can either, so there could be some emotional content there. So there could be, oh, I'm really enjoying this. It's so nice. My husband's enjoying it. I love being here. You were having a nice time together and it's great. Or there could be the arising of a slight feeling of frustration. there's impersonal, effortless awareness of frustration. So I'm just going to go and put the kettle on. We'll have a cup of tea instead.
Yes, but it's the belief now. I can't believe in the stuff that he's telling us, because I'm just thinking, well, it's all part of the wholeness. It's all,
Exactly, exactly.
why are they analyzing and going so deeply into everything and trying to sort of think so
Well,
many
yes,
thousands of years into the future and all
well,
that? I just sit
it's
there
all
thinking, but
it's all speculation, but actually, it's understanding that the mainstream media is reinforcing the dualistic realm. So the whole purpose of the mainstream media is to keep people engaged in the mental realm. So Brian Cox would never do a presentation on effortless impersonal being because it would expose the fiction that he's actually perpetrating.
yes, that's, yeah, it's quite funny. Oh, I think I might be getting there.
You're much further down the line
David, can
than
I
you
ask?
realize.
Sorry,
You're much further down
what
the
did you?
line than you realize. It's just that you're just having a little game, really, which is there is already total clarity. There's knowing that you're the impersonal, effortless, timeless being. You can experience that as a field where you can just see the forms arising. There's effortless awareness of the body. There's effortless awareness of the speech, of the two voices, of the light. You can experience as a field of awareness, and you can utilize impersonal awareness in the Ernst Mach version, where impersonal effortless awareness is looking through the eyes of the body.
That's just wonderful. That, yeah, yes, I can, and I think that my problem is I have this deep sense of anybody else can get this stuff, but not me. I'm not good enough.
Well, let's
I'm
have a look
dim.
at. Well, but that's because you're playing this little game of hide and seek. You're the infinite being. And what you've done is you've set up this little game where you have the dualistic central server, which is delivering thoughts into the mind as invitations to try to get you to believe them. So it's
Yes.
delivering these thoughts, which is saying, I'm not good enough. Other people can get it, but I can't. And
Mm.
what's happening is because of the element of personalization and because everything in this world has told you that it's your mind and your thoughts, those thoughts are being delivered. You take delivery of them because you're the infinite being. You're shining the light of your infinite potential through those concepts of limitation. Oh, I'm not good enough. And then because you're the infinite being, if you shine the light of your infinite potential through those concepts of limitation, you bring them into your direct experience, and that's how you experience. But it's only by virtue of the fact that you are the infinite being that you can do that. So you're just having a little game of limitation. But it's optional because you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. You don't need to
Mm.
adopt those because you're the infinite being.
Well, I know that on the surface of things.
You
I've
know
just
it
got
on
to.
every level, Jill.
Uh,
Not just on the
oh,
surface. No, it isn't just on the surface.
I'm good. I'm good at making great mountains out of molehills. I'm thinking, I haven't got it yet because of this, and I haven't got it yet because of that. But I think faith comes into it too, doesn't it? Faith in yourself, I suppose. Well, maybe is
Well,
that an invitation? I don't know. Is
it is
that
actually
duality?
because you can if you take that phrase faith in oneself.
Mm,
There are two versions there. So there's faith in oneself, which is the self with a capital S, which is the infinite being, and then there's the idea of faith in oneself, which is faith in Jill.
yes.
So the one is infinite potential, and the other one is reinforcing limitation because it's the idea, oh, if I have faith in Jill, she's going to get it sometime. I've got to work hard. But
Yes.
that's the mistaken identity because you never were Jill. You've never been Jill.
No. No. David, can I just have a look at my piece of paper again? Because I've got you.
You take your time,
Um,
certainly.
okay. Um, so I said about the picture. I wanted you to know how wonderful I thought that picture was.
Great.
um,
Yeah, it is. It's a
in a
lovely one. The simplicity is so disarming, isn't it?
yes.
I have a friend who was he'd been meditating for 35 years,
Mm.
and he saw that image and it just brought the whole thing to an end. He
Yeah, I
just
remember I heard you saying
simplicity.
that,
Yeah.
and it more or less did the same thing for me. It was
Yes.
wonderful seeing it. It was brilliant. Um, I I listened to those early conscious TV programs, and so much of it I didn't understand. There was you and these two other guys, and they were so wordy, and they were just tying me up in knots. And it was really nice to hear your quiet, calm voice at the end of all their spiels and just saying it how it really is. Anyway, but there's quite a lot that I can't understand, but of course I don't need to understand it. But I do want to learn more. Um, and I was going to say to you, what do you recommend for me now by way of support? Should I, and presumably I shouldn't go away and keep listening to your videos. I should be having confidence and saying, I've got it now. I don't need those videos anymore. It's like people that reach a point, don't they, where they put the books down. They don't go there. They just
Exactly. Well, the key thing is
integrate.
for you to accept the simplicity, because the way our true nature appears to be obscured is really in the distinction between effortlessness and effort, because effortlessness is always there. But if effort is activated, it appears to obscure the effortlessness which is always there, because we're focusing on the effort rather than the effortlessness. In the same way as non-conceptual awareness is always there, it's just that when we're conceptualizing, then we're focusing on the forms rather than on the formless non-conceptual
Mm.
awareness.
I see the way the light from the impersonal mode will shine on whatever you pick up, whatever you
Yes,
cleave to, if
exactly.
you like.
That's
I can
yeah,
see that now.
yes.
But David, what happens when, say, you have a really difficult situation in the family
Mm.
and you've got to go there, but you don't want to expend too much energy? I find things very draining energetically. Um, how do you deal with those things? If you've got a deep problem, how do you manage to not get completely sucked in and
Well, the conditioning we have in the human realm is to activate certain emotions in certain situations. So
mm,
there's a kind of expectation that if we have to deal with loss or bereavement,
mm,
something or illness, that that's automatically going to result in anxiety, grief, fear, and all of those things. But that's only the conditioned version, because we can we can experience from impersonal effortless being. So firstly, once you've seen that you are impersonal effortless being, and everything is arising as a form on that infinite ocean or field of effortless impersonal being, you see that whatever the form is, it's actually remaining as the impersonal effortless timeless being anyway. So when we see the changing forms, it's a bit like waves. The wave rises and then it falls again.
mm, mm,
And the human wave rises and then it falls, and it's inevitable. So it's just that in the personal mode, because the dualistic realm is an energy system, the dualistic realm loves to get us personally involved and invested in disturbing thoughts and emotions, because that's how our energy is invested in the dualistic realm. But it's counterproductive, because rather than remaining in the simplicity of impersonal awareness, then we're investing in the personal realm and in the dualistic realm. It's just that that's a conditioned mode, because I don't experience that way. If there are challenging experiences on a human level, so if friends or family are ill or if they die, firstly, there's the clarity in knowing that everyone and everything remains as the impersonal, effortless being. It's just
mm,
that we're having this little drama, So
Mm.
they're appearing as the characters. So there's the use of the words I, me, or mine, and we're activating the dualistic realm, which is optional, and we can invest in that heavily or lightly.
Can I get back to my piece of paper because we're taking up quite a lot of
Of
time
course, carry on.
and um, mm, yeah. So when I as I go on from here, do you think it's good to tune into certain channels on YouTube to listen to certain people, read certain books, or what? I just feel I know there's been talk of you starting a group. That would be wonderful to be part of a group. To
Yes, well, there
um,
is, yeah, a couple in New York have kindly offered to help. So they're doing everything behind the scenes. So they've created a new website and they're going to administer everything. They've put a database together, and hopefully we're going to be doing two group meetings a month, one to help with realization and the other one with the integration process. But because they're actually doing that for me, I'm not sure of the time scale. So that's ongoing. But what I would say for you, Jill, is a bit more simple than that, which is that because you are the sovereign infinite being, the most important thing is to begin to accept that everything you need to know will arise within. You don't
mm,
really need to be looking outside. That's part of the ongoing investment in the dualistic realm, really. But when you withdraw that idea, because in this conversation and the content, of your emails, it's really clear. Not only is there complete clarity in the distinction between impersonal being and the personal mode, and you can regulate the degree of investment in the personal mode on your terms, that it's possible just to function from the sovereignty of impersonal being and just know that whatever you need to know will actually come to you. Because,
mm,
um, reading books or watching videos for you really now is only entertainment. You're not really going to find anything, that you need more than that. What you
mm,
will find, though, is that if you if you allow your infinite nature to be delivering whatever you need directly, you'll see that there's a sequence which is more um, streamlined in a way, where the sequence in which the knowledge you need, the sort of progression, the clarity, the integration, all of that will come to you in a really simple way. Much more so than if you're in seeking mode. If you're activating seeking mode by watching videos, reading books, in a
mm,
context where it's the idea that there's something lacking, it's because you're the infinite being. And if you're maintaining the idea that there's something missing that you need to find out by listening to someone else, your infinite nature
yeah.
saying, well, we'll maintain that for her. She wants to carry on this little show for a while longer. So that's how
So
it,
I need to have confidence in myself, and what I know and what I see.
not
Um,
confidence in, not confidence in,
not in the personal, yeah,
not
confidence
confidence in
in,
the little self, confidence in your infinite, impersonal,
mm,
omnipotent, timeless, indestructible nature.
yeah. Mm, thank you. No, can I move on? Um, um, uh, yeah. What's this? Following my own inner knowing or instinct. Intuition. We talk about inner knowing, instinct, and intuition.
Yes,
Do they amount to the same thing? That inner
they
feeling
do.
of
Yes,
knowing. They do, don't they?
yes.
And we covered the meditation and the neutral language and the unity conscious. That's when you share effortless being with another or others, isn't it? Isn't it? It's unity. I think I might have.
Well, unity
There's
consciousness
more
is,
to it, isn't there?
well, it's really that if you take, you could say self-realization is when you see that there's been a case of mistaken identity. So
Mm,
the mistaken identity is when we adopt the personal mode. and we're living through the mind, emotions, and the physical realm, believing
mm,
that that's what, well, but believing that that's who we are. Um,
mm.
so realization is when you see that that was a mistaken identity, because all along you've actually remained as the infinite, impersonal, timeless, effortless being.
Yeah, got that.
So that's the simplicity of realization, which you have in spade loads.
And in
From many
simple
different
terms,
angles. Pardon?
yeah, in simple terms, unity consciousness is,
Unity consciousness, which I was just coming to, is
yes,
is when you see that actually you know that you're not Jill existing in time and space. You're the infinite ocean of awareness. You
mm,
experience as the infinite ocean of awareness, which is fully present here. And in this moment, there are forms appearing within that infinite ocean. So there's the form of the iPad screen, there's the form of the words of the two
uh,
voices, there's awareness of the clothing on the body, awareness of the light, awareness of the objects in the room, um, awareness of some emotions. When you see all of those forms arising equally and effortlessly and impersonally, within the infinite field of awareness you've always been, that's unity consciousness. And
great,
it's the only thing we've ever known, really. It's
yes,
just that superimposed on unity is the dualistic mode or the subject object mode,
mm,
where we've been conditioned to believe that it's Jill who's perceiving and knowing everything. And
mm,
it's dividing everything up into duality. So it's saying, this is me, that's not me. I'm the body, the spectacles aren't me. No, that isn't. The hair is, the skin is, yeah, that's me. The the but it's just seeing that your infinite nature is just this infinite field within which everything
mm.
is effortlessly and impersonally arising.
Excellent. Now
So
I'm
you
going off and,
so
sorry,
you saw that. Let just to confirm. So you saw that really clearly as I was describing it. You
yeah,
knew exactly what I was describing.
yes,
So you already know unity consciousness as well as self-realization.
right. Yeah. I'm going off on a tangent now, but I'd like to know what you think about hypnotherapy. And the reason I'm asking this is because it's really helped me with my, um, I've had this IBS ongoing for some time. And it's generally reckoned that it was a result of what happened back in 2004 when I lost my son. Although that's something else I wanted to tell you. When I lost my son, and people were literally collapsing around me and devastated, I felt an immediate sense of peace.
Yes.
I suppose relief as well, really, because he was going through so much agony beforehand. And I felt very guilty about that feeling of relief. But I felt he's at peace and I'm going to see him again. And that's,
Yes.
and I held it all together and, and I couldn't cry for a long time, not properly.
No.
Um, I can cry so easily at things concerning animals and what have you, but I'm not a great crier. And I couldn't cry, and I thought, and I beat myself up for this. You know, why can't I just, why can't I be like other people? But I was the only person who was sort of,
Well,
you know, holding it all together.
the reason for that is because the clarity in terms of your infinite nature was already very clearly there. And what happens upon death when there is clarity in the way you experience is that the distraction of the form, so the thoughts surrounding the welfare of the being called your son, the personal circumstances, the relationship,
Mm,
um, all of those components in the personal realm dissolve. And what is left is the simplicity of the impersonal, effortless, timeless being, which he's always been. So, so the reasons that there wasn't the possibility of crying or any dualistic disturbance is because the clarity in terms of your infinite nature and the knowing of your son in his true infinite nature was
mm.
very clearly apparent then in a very powerful way. And that's really the way that it's possible to experience transformation in that sense, because
And yet, I
it's an
did have
immense.
the shock. I did suffer this shock a long, long time after. Suddenly, I was suddenly hit with this dreadful IBS thing. A couple of years later, I couldn't think of why I got it, but it was generally reckoned that it was a delayed shock, a long delayed shock. But I still, in my mind, in my senses, felt that peace, even though I
Yes.
suffered the shock. Doesn't make much sense, really.
Well, it's the
Or,
distinction between impersonal being and the personal mode. So the clarity which was there initially was impersonal being, aware of that situation in clarity, realization that actually the character of your son in a personal mode was relative and illusory to some degree. But the truth of
mm,
what he truly is, which is impersonal, effortless, timeless, indestructible being, was being known in unity fully and completely. So there wasn't any disturbance at that time. But because the
mm,
dualistic realm is an energy system, it tries to draw you back in to the dualistic mode. So it activates the mind, it starts delivering invitations, you start having conversations with people. They're saying, "Oh, it's really sad, I'm really sorry to hear this." And then you're having these conversations. So that's all actually building and investing more
mm,
heavily in the dualistic and the personal realm, which then gives rise to the possibility of something
mm,
like IBS, because
mm,
IBS is a result of overinvestment in the personal realm. The way it works is it's the sequence of, in the dualistic realm, it's a sequence from mental, emotional to physical. So the clarity that was there upon the passing
mm,
was impersonal, effortless, timeless being, which was clarity and truth. Then there was the emergence of the reinvestment in the personal realm, where there was a commitment to the storyline, the relationship, the dualistic, the mum and the son and the family members all taking in all the interpretation, which then resulted in a investment in the mental realm. So it was investment in the conceptual realm. So it was entertaining thoughts of loss, of compromise, of guilt, all the invitations into mental and emotional disturbance. Um, because those thoughts had been entertained, that created the emotional disturbance, and the entertaining of that and the investment in that. And it took whatever the period was between 2004 and when the IBS showed up. But
mm,
it was that simple sequence where you went from the investment in the mental realm, which then activated the emotional realm, which then had the implications in the physical realm. Because, as you know, the stomach is the seat of the emotions. So there'd been the investment in the mental realm, investment in the emotional realm, which activated the imbalance in the physical realm. But in terms of the question about hypnotherapy is a way of turning off the mental realm.
it's
So
helped. It's got me over this IBS. It's been amazing.
yes,
But then it's working on the mind, and I just wondered.
well, it's because so hypnotherapy can turn off the mental program. So the investment in the mental realm, which is actually the source of the emotional disturbance and the physical disturbance, can be turned off by hypnotherapy. So that turns the mind off, which then turns the emotions off, which then resolves the imbalance on a physiological level.
Mm,
But it's knowing that there's a much better solution than hypnotherapy, which is impersonal, effortless, timeless being. Because when you know that you're the impersonal, effortless, timeless being, then you wouldn't invest in the dualistic mode of experience and to be entertaining thoughts, concepts, beliefs, conversations with other people about the topic. If other people are saying things to you, oh, it's terrible what's happened to you, Jill. I don't know how you live through that. In a human sense, I mean, I don't mean to sound cynical, but in a human sense, if people are absorbed in the dualistic realm, losing a child is probably the most challenging
Mm,
experience available. But
mm,
but knowing that you're the impersonal, effortless, timeless being, your son is the impersonal, effortless, timeless being, entertaining that dualistic mode of experience is optional. And when you know that, you're the one who regulates the degree of investment in it. And if you have
mm,
people close to you, if they're heavily invested in the personal realm, they're going to be showing up, giving you invitations. Jill, can I come
mm,
round and have a cup of tea? It must be terrible. Let's have a chat. And they come round
mm,
and they're bombarding you with invitations. Oh, it's terrible what's happened.
mm.
Every statement they're making is an invitation. You can tell the content because what they're saying, is it resulting in expansion or is it resulting in contraction? If it's resulting
Yeah,
in,
that's a really good one to keep.
so in terms of relationships with other people, because you can rest as the impersonal, effortless, timeless being, you can regulate investment in the personal mode. So that's an example, really. So if you have people coming around and they're heavily invested in the personal realm, there are two options. The one is that you go on that little personal ride with them and you get the box of Kleenex out and you're crying and getting upset. Or
Mm,
you can remain as impersonal, effortless, timeless being in neutrality. You can be compassionate towards them. You can be kind. You can speak in a way, where you're respectful of them. Um, but you don't actually need to move from the neutrality of effortless being. You can remain uh, in a neutral space, or you can move into higher aspects of effortless being. So you can move into compassion, you can move into care, love. So you can respond in those ways with the
so
person.
you can have the conversation, but not be pulled down by the
Exactly.
what's being said. Yes.
They're
Oh,
they're on a little roller coaster. They pull up in their car and they say, "Would you like to jump in with me, Jill? We'll go on a little ride."
mm, yes.
You can either say, "That's very kind of you," but you decline, or you can jump in and then you have the whole ride with them.
I'll try. I'll do my best to decline. So the hypnotherapy won't actually hold me back, will it? I've spent £100 on this subscription to this app, which I've been using to good advantage. Um, if I continue doing it until the subscription runs out, it's not going to pull me back, is it? It's not going to.
Well, use it as a learning exercise because what you'll see is that the hypnotherapy is having an influence on the mental level. So it'll enable you to see the way the mental, emotional, and physical realms work in combination. Because
Mm,
the dualistic realm, which is a combination of the mental, emotional, and physical, you can see how they manifest. So you your true nature is attributeless being. Then there's the option for there to be awareness aware of infinite bliss, which is an infinite impersonal field. Then there can be effortless being, which is the body of wisdom, where there's impersonal effortless awareness of all forms rising equally, effortlessly, and neutrally. Well,
mm,
neutrality is the lowest aspect of effortless being. And then you have the dualistic realm, which is a combination of the mental, emotional, and physical. So the mental is the most powerful, which has an effect on the emotional, which then has an effect on the physical. So you'll see how hypnotherapy is addressing things on a mental level, but it doesn't completely remove the issue because it's still maintaining a degree of personalization. But it's fine to continue with that. But the option you have in future is
yes.
to actually function from impersonal, effortless being.
Yes. Well,
Because
I wouldn't use hypnotherapy otherwise, except that actually, having said that, I do know somebody who's who has been trained by, oh, who is he? That chap who brought out all the books. I can make you thin. I can make you this. I can make you that. Can't remember his name now. Hypnotherapist, well known. Anyway, um, she's offering hypnotherapy, and the other problem in my life is back pain, and you
Mm.
can actually do it for back pain as well.
Yes.
And I'm very tempted to try it because I've seen how it can work on IBS.
Yes.
So, but you're saying I could use that. It's not going to do me any harm. It's going to,
No.
in fact, it's going to show me perhaps more distinctly certain aspects of.
Well, it's realizing that the issues like the back pain and the IBS are as a result of over-investing in the personal realm. But
Mm,
what you know now is that you're the infinite sovereign being. You can determine the degree of investment in the personal realm. So, for instance, I like Louise Hay's version. You know, she says that back pain is due to carrying the world on your shoulders, and
mm,
in some way. Um, Back pain emerges as a result of taking responsibility for a lot of people around you in the family. Sometimes there can be like emotional investment in other people's issues, um, and things which create a burden. So back pain is sort of carrying the burden of personalization. So certainly using hypnotherapy to address the symptoms, that can be effective. But
mm,
the key is in seeing the source of those. So the source of both of those was overinvestment in the personal realm. And it's knowing that you don't need to do that in any future experiences
yes.
because you know how to handle any experience, no matter how, you know, you sort of large that experience is on a personal level, you can still process it from impersonal, effortless being.
I'm feeling quite excited to sort of, you know, I feel I've gained some confidence this evening, and I will open the door wider and wider and wider, hopefully, until it's
Wonderful.
wide open. I hope
Well,
so.
so what you'll notice is that as you withdraw investment from the personal realm or the dualistic realm, the energy that was being used to support the dualistic realm, so to support personalization, to maintain mental, emotional, and personal investment, the energy you withdraw from there creates a sense of lightness, ease, and joy. And the feeling you just had, which is that feeling of possibility, of expansion, inspiration, is because already you're seeing that there's the potential to be able to withdraw energy from the dualistic realm and the personal realm. And you're actually feeling that because that arose as a sense of lightness and inspiration and the opening of the door. And so you can see how you can regulate the investment in the personal realm
Mm,
from the sovereignty of your impersonal nature.
thank you. The other thing that I've been doing, which I think you'll approve of, is binaural beats, listening to binaural beats.
I've heard of that.
It,
I'm not really familiar with it, but
well, it's
yeah,
something to do with frequencies of
yes,
sound, and it's not. And I lie there, shut my eye, and I have found this deeply relaxing, physically and mentally, emotionally.
very good.
I just get into that state of awareness, you
Yes,
know, where there's very little activity going on,
yes.
and that's been wonderful for me. So,
Well,
so
your
you would
intuition,
agree that that's a good thing.
well, your intuition has guided you with that because, you know, experientially it's having that effect because obviously the frequencies that are being emitted are enabling you to experience impersonally and you know
Mm,
in terms of higher frequencies actually because if there's a feeling of joy and lightness and expansion and it's turning off the lower frequencies then it's obviously really beneficial.
yes, it's wonderful. One last thing, because I know it's nearly 8 o'clock.
Well, then
um,
we're not pushed for time, so don't feel as though you need to hurry.
Thank you. We talked about dementia, one's terrified, of course, once you get to 75 and your mother's had dementia and her mother's had dementia, but you're going to get dementia. Um, if one were to get dementia,
Mm.
I don't know what I want to say really. Kind of what happens. I mean, I suppose.
Well, it's a different experience from effortless being because dementia is to do with abnormalities in the mental realm, and it's to do with usually physiological impairment. So,
Mm,
there are those aspects to it. But the more familiar you become with impersonal, effortless being, you'll be regulating investment in the dualistic realm on your terms, which firstly will bring balance back into the mental, emotional, and physical realm. So the possibility of dementia is reduced. So
well,
even
I
if
hoped you'd say that.
but also the the implications are different because if there's personalization, um, then there's investment in the idea that you're the physical body, that you're the mind, you're the emotions, and then you're having that whole turbulent experience, which isn't pleasant. But from impersonal, effortless being, it would be a bit of a comedy show, really, because there would just be impersonal, effortless awareness of a lack of memory or reduction in memory and different things. But there wouldn't be the degree of personalization. So there wouldn't be an idea of it being catastrophic, really, because the nature of impersonal being, when it becomes really established and you see the clarity of it, and that's where you can function from primarily, and you can regulate the investment in the mental, emotional, and physical, then you begin to disregard them. Because as life goes on, the physical body, there's an inevitability, and that it's going to come to an end, but actually, you kind of disregard it because it's peripheral in a way. Because we're living in an inversion, the dualistic realm is trying to make us believe that the physical is primary and everything is dependent on that, when really it's at the end of the line. It's like an old motor car. We have
Mm.
the five koshas they're like five vehicles to experience various options. Um, at the one end you have the body of bliss, which is like a Rolls Royce, and then there's the physical body, which is like an old beat up old car. It just
I just hope that should I get it, that something in me will still have this idea of will
there'll be
still be realized to
well
impersonal.
there will be effortless impersonal awareness of a mental condition called dementia, but
Mm,
but it's only if you're investing in a personal sense. Because I have funny conversations with my mum, and I do it on purpose, really. So she sometimes she says things like, "Oh, I wish I was dead." I said, "Oh,
mm.
that's quite an interesting idea, Mum. So, so, what do you think you are exactly?" I said, "Do you think you're this little meat suit, sat in the chair, or is there something else you're aware of?" And she said, "Well, actually, it's funny you say that because I feel exactly the same now as when I was 15. I don't feel any different." She said, "It's only when I look in the mirror and I look at that face and I say, 'Who's that?'"
Yes, I do that every day. Oh, so things come your way,
Things
hopefully.
just well, when you establish that effortless impersonal being is what you truly are, then you just know that you're infinite nature, because impersonal, effortless being is a combination of infinite love with infinite intelligence. So it will do things where it looks after you. It's benign. Whereas the intelligence operating in the dualistic realm is more like a predatory realm, which is putting us into mental and emotional disturbance. So
Mm.
by aligning with our infinite nature, you find that the intelligence operating there from there operates in a really magical way where it brings to you everything that you need, and experiences that you love to have, which you didn't even know. But your infinite nature knows, and it delivers them to you effortlessly. And it's just the most magical experience, which becomes available to you when you withdraw the investment from the pain, the suffering, preoccupation, mental and emotional turmoil.
And I've got to get used to not forging forward and trying to sort things out, which is how I am. I'm a rescuer. I'm a born rescuer, but I must stop it. I
Well,
must be
actually,
led by my intuition.
well, really, that the way that mode emerges is because your purpose for showing up in the dualistic realm, having this experience, is because you are actually a representative of the infinite being, which is why you feel compassion towards all beings. You love animals, you care for them. And
Mm,
it's because of that alignment, which has always been there, that you feel that you wish to help. What the
mm,
dualistic realm does, though, it hijacks that, because that's a natural ability that you have. The way it works most effectively, though, is allowing the infinite being to come through in a way where you're not filtering it through the mind in any way. And because of what the mind does, or what the dualistic realm does, it kind of hijacks your very pure and honorable intention, which is to help people, but it does it in a way where it wants to turn you into a helper.
mm,
Um, but what it's doing really is it's putting you into the mind where it's saying, oh yes, well, it's really good to help people, but it's creating a limitation really, because instead of it coming directly from your infinite nature, which is effortless, circumstances, situations arise. You don't need to initiate anything. You just be effortlessly available. The infinite being will bring exactly the right people to you. As soon as you start engaging the mind, you're creating a limitation. And the infinite being is then having to try to find its way through the mental realm, which is restrictive.
mm,
So it's seeing that in essence, what you have is really pure and in full alignment with your infinite nature. But it's just knowing that the dualistic realm has tried to hijack that and divert your energy attention through the mental realm, when really you just keep it simple. You just keep it so that it's about joy, lightness, love, any of the qualities operating, from effortless being. So they're things like intuition, inspiration, joy, love, creativity, unity, euphoria, all of those qualities are the ones to experience, because you're remaining in alignment with your infinite nature. But you don't need to return to the conceptual realm, to speculate as to what needs to be done, because that is creating a filter of limitation.
mm. It seems like a bit of a, in one way, it seems like a bit of a mountain to climb, but that's ridiculous because it's all effortless. So it's just
Exactly.
let it happen.
Well, there's a good example of the distinction between expansion and contraction. So which
Yeah,
one is true?
yeah,
So the mountain to
expansion.
climb is the contraction, which is coming from the dualistic realm, which is trying to invite you into limitation. But the expansive one is, yes, you actually know it's effortless being and there's nothing to do, because the infinite being will work through you with no friction, completely effortlessly, and deliver circumstances, situations, and people which are totally perfect for you to be able to share your wisdom, your knowledge, and the clarity and unity of your infinite nature.
Mm. I need to just live it for a little while, don't I?
Well,
And see what happens.
the nice thing, Jill, is the way to do that most effectively is to do probably what you haven't done so much, which is to have a level of self-care and self-respect, so that every day really should be about um, every experience being as loving, compassionate, expansive, impersonal, joyful, um, and just for life to be as delightful as possible. so that every aspect, love, care, delight, joy, they're the priorities in your daily experience. They're all based on expansion. So if you maintain those rather than turning anything into a chore or a job or something which requires effort, you'll be totally on track. And it's a really nice way to live as well.
Would it be very wrong to say it's also positive thinking as well? Positive thinking is expansion.
Well, positive thinking is actually dualistic because there's positive thinking and
Yes.
negative thinking.
Mm.
Because positive thinking is the idea that you're the thinker and you can adopt positive thinking, which will be creating a good outcome. What it's actually doing is it's keeping you in the limitation of mind
Of
predominance.
course it is. Of course it is. I'm going to really enjoy. Perhaps not tomorrow. Maybe I'll give tomorrow. I'll leave tomorrow. But I'm going to enjoy watching my recording when I get it and listening and just what's the word? Solidifying. Is that the word?
Integrating or just
Integrating, which is kind of like solidifying. The knowledge that you've given me, the information you've given me tonight, just I'm going to open like a flower. I try to open like a flower
you're already
with
open.
it all.
You're
Yes,
already completely open, Joe.
I consider myself realized then tonight. I was anyway, but I mean, I realize I'm realized.
That's all that's required. Fantastic.
Yes, it's like somebody said to you about, so now all I have to do is act as if I'm realized. And you said, you've got to remember that you've got to accept that you are realized. I
Yeah, you
wrote
don't
that
need
down
to act.
somewhere.